Saturn going direct in Pisces. Saturn is, I always feel Saturn's movements quite a bit because I am an Aquarius rising. My Saturn is in my 11th or 10th house, depending on which house system you use. And I have a Saturn square to the moon. That's very close in my birth chart. And it just feels, it feels like a very important planet to me. Saturn is a disciplinarian, it's a manifester, it is the thing that really makes us learn hard lessons and lay foundation for future success. And I personally, like the way I feel Saturn retrograde, I've been tracking it the last couple years, so not that long, because Saturn goes retrograde, I don't know, for like, it was retrograde from the end of June and now it's turning direct, so like a third of the year, I guess, it's retrograde. I feel Saturn retrograde like depression. Again, that's partially because of my Saturn square to the moon and the fact that literally Saturn represents like my body and myself, being the ruler of my first house. Saturn feels like depression to me. It feels like everything is slow. Everything is just taking so much effort. Everything that I want to like just burst forward with and do with, it's just like everything is cock blocked. Everything is blocked. I don't know why. I hate it. And I don't know how that's going to feel to everyone else. It really depends on your birth chart. And Saturn is more of a social outer planet, so it's not necessarily going to be something that everyone feels the same way. Saturn is in one sign for a couple of years. It's currently in Pisces. Pisces is like, when I think about Saturn and Pisces, I think it's so interesting because like I see them as so different. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter and Neptune, which are like literally the opposite energies to Saturn. Saturn is like tangible material stuff, right? Like Saturn can also be, I kind of see Saturn almost as similar to Taurus in the energy of Taurus in some ways, because it's like, give me material, physical evidence. Like Saturn can be agriculture, you know what I mean? It's like, this is being grown of the land. Saturn can also be like taxes, you know, it's just these like boring ass like things that but like we also need them, you know what I mean? It's like Saturn is like, you gotta get up at a certain time, otherwise like you'll get up and you'll feel like shit because you slept in. You know what I mean? It's like the boring ass shit and like, ugh. But it's true. It's true. It's just true. But Pisces, ruled by Jupiter and the modern ruler Neptune, is like, oh, everything's just amazing and great and like, but like in a Pisces is funny to me. So Pisces is like expansion and like growth and adventure, but inside. Like if you can think about like just a total spiritual person who's like just, I don't know, I see like their insides, like their soul just like being so deep and so wild, like the ocean, and it's like, oh, everything is one, and like let's just keep like, oh, like everything, nothing is, there's no boundaries, there's no difference between you and me, like all this shit. I actually hate it. I really do. It's probably because I'm so Saturnian. But so I think there's quite a challenge with Saturn and Pisces for all of us. And I think collectively, one of the ways that Saturn and Pisces is really like sort of challenging for us as a collective at this moment is us really asking ourselves like what is real and what isn't. And that's a really basic idea, but like Saturn literally restricts quite literally, like Saturn is restricting our ability to believe. Saturn is restricting our ability to accept. Saturn is restricting our ability to find depth. And perhaps this is not a bad thing. Perhaps this is a revealing thing. Saturn is going to show up and show us what is like missing, if that makes any sense. Saturn's like, oh, you didn't do your taxes. Well, now you're going to fucking pay. Or like, whatever. Like, that's silly. But like, that's on a very, very like surface level. Like Saturn's like, oh, I don't know, what's something on like an abolitionist level? It's like, oh, Saturn shows up and is like, oh, hey, you never got clear about your values with this person. And you made some assumptions. And now you're going to see the results of that. Right? Like Saturn is consequences of our actions. And I think Saturn in Pisces is the consequences of our collective actions. What have we been missing? What have we been not being super strict about when it comes to our connection? Pisces is about connection. Pisces is about really like transcendence. And I think Pisces is about growth. It is about widening our beliefs and deepening our faith. And Saturn is saying, you need to get disciplined about this shit. Saturn is saying, you need to get disciplined about the way you cultivate your faith. You need to get disciplined about the way you connect with people. You need to get disciplined about the way you manifest your values. Like this can't just be this like willy-nilly shit anymore. You need to like check this. You need to check it. That's just the feeling that I've been having with Saturn for the last little bit. And as with all sort of bigger, farther away planets, they don't necessarily show up in terms of like, we're not going to see it as clearly right away. It's something that we may look back on. We've got that Mercury square to Saturn that happened on Tuesday. All I'm going to say about that is that I feel like it's an anxious moment. Mercury is in Sagittarius, which like feels so like, I hate it. I hate Mercury and Sagittarius because Mercury is all about details and Sagittarius is like no details whatsoever. And like Pisces is no details whatsoever, I feel. Also, so we have like Mercury and Saturn, which both I feel are sort of harsh. Like Mercury is like, wants all the details, give me all the fucking details. And Saturn is like, get your ducks in a row, count your numbers, But they're both having to operate in like two very like loosey-goosey, one fire, one water, like wild, boundless signs. And so to me, it feels like anxiety. It's giving anxiety to me. It's giving anxiety, and it really depends, I think, where in your birth chart these two signs line up, as to how you may be feeling this. I think Mercury can have a lot to do with the nervous system. Saturn is like the bones and the structures of the body. I think if we're thinking about this like on a collective level, it's like there's a challenging situation between even our communications and our structures. So I don't know if that pokes anything for anyone. That was Mercury and Saturn on the Tuesday. What else do we have? I can't remember. I think there was a couple other things. Right. So we've got that Uranus. I totally forgot about the Uranus in the full moon. So the moon is going to conjoin with Uranus like right after the full moon, and then the sun is going to conjoin with Uranus. So let's just talk about this full moon in the context of it being like right there with Uranus having like a huge impact on the full moon. It's an interesting one for me, I think, Taurus is so about stability and having, and like, we already talked about this, right? Like, it is a fixed earth sign. It is the most stubborn of the stubborn. It is like just very rooted, very loyal, very like, you cannot move me. I am going to do this. But then Uranus comes in, and Uranus is all about change and all about innovation and all about fucking shit up. Again, this can be used for a cause. How do we need to innovate? How do we need to change? How do we need to really questioning ourselves and the ideas of deservingness and deserving? How do we need to get more creative and experimental about how we create security and stability for people and for ourselves? We cannot rely on the old ways of doing things anymore. And Uranus stays in a sign for about 7 years, so we've had some time with this theme, Uranus and Taurus, right? And I think Uranus can also produce a huge amount of anxiety because it is very electric and very much related to technology. Uranus is absolutely a bit of a revolutionary, but again, the question always is, whose revolution, right? That energy is revolutionary, but we need to use it, right, for the revolution that we believe in. I'm speaking to abolitionists here, anti-oppressive practitioners. We need to tap into this Uranus energy, right? We need to get creative. So the full moon is asking us to let go of our old ideas, and the Uranus in that full moon is saying you need to get creative. You need to try something new. You need to innovate. Just like, and I think it's uncomfortable. What I'm feeling, anyways, like, because I'm feeling this, and it feels very uncomfortable. Like, the Taurus part that I'm feeling is like, no, I just want to know. I just want to be able to do this, and I just want to, like, kind of, like, have some routine here. Like, let's just do this. Let's choose something and do it every day, right? And that's great. And also, Uranus is like, baha, but that's not gonna work. And I think what we're feeling is that tension between those two things. We actually need both, right? Like, that's what's so confusing about this world, right? Is that we actually need both energies. We need the fixed, stubborn, put your foot down, this is what I'm doing, energy. And we also need the disruptor energy, the like, go do something different, explosive, here, there, nope, gotta change energy. It's like, we need people who are questioning their entitlement to things and giving up what they have, right? But we also need people who are willing to stand up and, like, step into their deservingness to be able to be a person who speaks up, right? And I'm saying this to all people. I'm saying this to white people, to black folks, to indigenous folks, to Asian folks. It's like, we all need to step into that deservingness, because we all have that voice that says we don't deserve to speak up. Some people have been shown that they deserve less in society more than others. But we all have to step into that more. And I'm going to say specifically, you know what, white women, we need you to speak up, but we need you to do it from a place that is not about entitlement. So it's like, like, we need you to, on one hand, be like, let go of this idea that you deserve something, more than others, right? You need to let go of that. But then you also need to let go of this idea that you don't deserve to speak up. It's fucked. It's really fucked, right? So I'm just going to speak to white women. I am part white. I was raised in so-called Canada. I was raised to be white. I have a white dad. Yeah. So I'm going to include myself in that. That on one hand, I need to let go of this idea that I'm entitled to things more than others. But I also need to step into this deservingness that I need to speak up. Okay, I think that's it for now. All of this is going to play out, over the next couple of weeks. The full moon's, about a month. We're really going to be focused on this, maybe the next 2 weeks, because we're going to be moving into a Sagittarius new moon. End of November. And, there's a lot more coming. I think another big thing that's coming up is that we got to watch out for that Mars retrograde, Mars being a planet of conflict. So there's going to be a lot of work for us. And I think we really need to be looking at this time between October and May. What themes were going on for us at the top of October? Those are going to be things that we're really sitting with, reflecting on, and trying to work on until May. Again, I think that's it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.